Good evening again to those of you who are in the practice facility, and a special good evening to those of you who have joined us out here tonight for this very special moment in LSU basketball's storied history. Tonight, this Plaza of Legacy showcases the three greatest players in LSU men's basketball history: Bob Pettit, Shaquille O'Neal, and now Pistol Pete Maravich. All legendary figures in the college and professional game, and all three members of the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. And if you notice, some work is being done here for more legends to join us in this plaza in the future. But tonight, it's all about the kid who wore number 23 with the floppy socks and the shaggy hair. Both were of another time and another place, but Pistol Pete's fabled game is as current as this past season's box scores. 50 plus years later, he is, and he will always be, timeless. Now it's time. Jackie, Jason, and Josh, would you please do the honors, and let's unveil this forever memory of the Pistol Pete Maravich. Jackie, there has also been commissioned a replica of the statue, which Athletics Director Scott Woodward would like to present to you and your sons in honor of this occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for being with us in this special moment. We ask the friends and family and invited guests to reception back in the practice facility. And you Tiger fans who are here, please feel free to stay and take as many pictures as you would like of this and of the other statues before you leave this evening. Thanks very much, and go Tigers.
Well, Pete was, you know the story about Elvis?
Oh, yeah.
And how shy Elvis was, didn't want the limelight? Pete was basically the same way. Pete did not want the limelight. You know, press always said, I want to make you the greatest scorer that ever lived. We knew that was going to come, but Pete didn't want all the publicity because he was a shy guy. So he wasn't shy around us, okay? But you get away from the team, and he was really a pretty shy guy. He really didn't like the publicity. You know, we'd go to different towns, and you know, the back of our jersey, we did this as a joke. You remember this? We'd go. Our warm-up shirts had our name on the back.
Yeah.
And his had Pistol, and we all had our last name. Well, we'd go into town, and you'd stay at the hotel, and the hotel said, "Welcome Pistol and Company, welcome Pistol and Group, welcome Pistol and Gang." I can't remember where we were. We all got pieces of paper and tape. Instead of we covered our names and put Company. So when we came out for warm-ups, we had our gold jackets on, took those off with our shooting jackets, and his had Pistol, and everybody else had taped on Company. Press was hotter than he blew up. We got in the dressing room.
You know, I remember about that NIT.
He cussed us out like crazy.
I heard he cussed. I heard he was.
Press cussed like a sailor.
That Pennsylvania.
Pete knew what we were doing because we did it at the hotel before we left, and he thought it was great. Press just went absolutely ballistic. But that, again, that's Pete's sense of humor that was totally opposite of Press. Press was all business, by the book, concentrate.
So would they blow up at each other during huddles?
Oh yeah, there's no question.
Okay, tell me a good story. I want because my dad was my basketball coach in high school.
I can't remember. It was a home game. I can't remember which one it was. And it was a timeout, and Press was drawing a play on the court with his chalk. And Pete shook his head. Nope, that's not going to work. We're going to run this play. Pete said, nope, that's not going to work. Damn it, we're going to run this play. Pete said, damn it, we're not going to run this play. And Press said, yes, we are. We go out in the court, and Pete says, we're not going to run this play. We'll run my play. We ran his play, and we scored. He comes back down court and pointing to his dad, said, I told you mine would work. But that was Pete. I mean, he and his dad knocked heads all the time. But again, I think the key to Pete was he had a sense of humor around the people he enjoyed being around other people. He was shy as a puppy dog.
Okay, so let me ask you this: who all here has been hit with a behind-the-back pass in the face?
Yeah.
Who hasn't played with Pete?
Who all here has been hit with a behind-the-back pass in the face?
Who hasn't played with Pete
Right.
that has been hit with a face? But the biggest problem I had when he went to the pros, we went to see a game when he played at Atlanta, and the whole game, every time he'd throw a behind the back pass between the leg, the guys would fumble it, be off their heads and everything. And we were sitting there watching this game. We said, wait a minute, we were 18 years old. And we learned out real quick how to anticipate what he's going to be doing. These guys are pros making all this money, and they hadn't figured it out yet. And our position was they didn't want to. They wanted to make them look bad.
That's right. That's right. You got a good point there. And when I would watch you guys highlights and stuff, I said, hey, they all do a run with Pete because they were going to score on fast breaks.
Well,
is that right?
Oh yeah. I mean, and the thing about it, you knew to anticipate anything could happen. And that's one of the things we learned early. I mean, at practice, you just knew be on guard because if he doesn't shoot, something's going to happen.
Right.
So you got to be alert.
Where were you from?
I was from Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, that's right. So you came.
I was from the same town that Pete was born in. Aliquippa.
So did Press recruit you, or?
Yes.
So Press did recruit you. That is awesome, man.
Yeah.
So Press was a great basketball coach.
He has a great mind. He had a great mind for basketball. And I've said this ever since then. When he started coaching Pete, he lost some of his common sense for basketball. He still had the basketball sense,
Gotcha.
but his goal was to make Pete the highest scorer ever, and he was going to do whatever it took to do that. And when he did that, he lost some of his basketball sense. When he went to Appalachian State after that, he went back to the old Press Maravich.
Yeah.
The defense and running and
fundamentals.
Yeah, the fundamentals were
It was about
great.
fundamentals.
Yeah, and because he played he coached the same brand of basketball that I did in high school.
Okay.
And it was strong defense, a lot of fundamentals, and which is one of the reasons I came. It was fast break all the time, full court press all the time. It was just that's what we did, and that's what we did when we were here. It was fast break. It was pressure all over the place. Full court defense and the whole bit. So.
Excuse me. Well, if Pete was here today with us to celebrate this, what do you think? The pistol that you knew back then, and how he became later in life, what do you think he would think of tonight?
He would think it's a great honor. He'd be smiling like crazy, but he wouldn't be saying a whole lot.
Really?
Again, Pete was not one for words. He was not one for words. He knew he was good, and he should. I mean, he practiced forever, ever since he was a little kid. I think he would be happy for the moment. He'd be happy for his family. He'd be thanking his dad, no question. And if he gave a speech, he probably wouldn't look a whole lot of people in the eye because he was just that bashful. But again, around people he knew and enjoyed, he was very outward going. Around people that he was uncomfortable with, he just didn't say a whole lot.
And when he stepped on a basketball court?
Well, when he stepped on a basketball court, it's totally different. I mean, everybody was the enemy when he stepped on the basketball court. And he was going to show everybody who was the best, how he can score. Yeah. And he was loose as a goose. He can do anything he wanted on the basketball court, so he had no fear. And that's the thing I think we admired about him most. And I think people who understood basketball appreciated him the most. because he was fearless on the basketball court. Even when he was hurt, he was fearless.
You know, I noticed that on highlights and stuff. He, hobbling around. I don't think Pete would go out of the game just because of
there's no way.
sprain. You know how kids today, LeBron and everyone. I mean, you guys didn't know anything like that. Well, I just, like I said, I've always wanted to meet you, man.
Well, I appreciate that.
How old were you when he was playing?
I was not even born.
He wasn't even born.
I was not even born. But you guys are a part of history. I mean, you're a part of history. And we're still talking about Pistol Pete all these years later.
My wife and I said the same thing. It's one thing we got to come to. We were in New England. I got to tell you this last story. We were in New England last fall, and up in Vermont. And just so happened where we were staying, the couple whose cabin that we were staying in invited us over for dinner. And when we got to talking, and came across that played for LSU. And he said, really? I said, yeah. I told him I was playing with Pistol Pete. He said, wait a minute. He calls his son down. His son was a sophomore in high school. And he asked his son, he said, son, and this is a year ago, the kid's a sophomore in high school. He said, who in your opinion is the greatest basketball player of all time? You know what his comment was? Pistol Pete Maravich. And I said, really? And his dad said, this guy played with Pistol Pete. No way. I said, yeah. And so I told him some stories. Well, he leaves. In the world that we're in today, he goes upstairs, gets on the computer. 15 minutes later, he comes back down. He said, Dad, he's not lying. He did play with Pistol Pete. And he had a picture that he took off the deal that he photographed off the computer to say, look, he's telling the truth. Now think about that.
Trust but verify.
That was, again, that's still 50 years after we played. A kid younger than you knows what Pistol Pete did on a basketball court. And I looked, and we talked about when we went back to the cabin that night. I said, can you believe how long his story and his legacy has been around?
Right. And Pete had no clue back then. He
None
didn't
whatsoever.
think 50 years later that
No.
a guy would drive from Alabama to be here.
Pete wasn't worried about tomorrow. I mean, really, he was not worried about tomorrow. It was today, just enjoy today, and we'll worry about tomorrow when it comes. So,
Man.
And the other thing is, like, he's got all those tapes that he did. I still have copies
I got the
of his
basketball homework tapes myself. So.
Do you have the original?
I got the originals.
Okay, man.
It's probably the Georgia game. You know, we tied them up at the end of the game, then we went overtime, tied them up again. Pete made some foul shots. The second overtime, we finally got ahead and everything, and the game was running down, and it was, probably a minute and a half to go. So Pete starts dribbling all over the court, and, he's dribbling all there, and those guys are trying to come out, and he just keeps dribbling and looks at the clock, bounces over to the bench, and throws up a sky hook, and nothing but bottom.
Nothing but, so that is a true story.
That is a very true story. The crowd erupted, got a standing ovation leaving the court after we beat them in double overtime.
And I heard Pete didn't even see the ball going to go. He just turned around and went to the tunnel.
That's probably right. We just stood there and watched it,
Think about it, man. You are part of history with being a part of Pete's career.
Oh, yeah.
Playing here at LSU with Press. I mean,
Oh,
I wish I could have seen y'all play, man. The Cow Palace. What was the Cow Palace like?
Oh, Cow Palace was great.
It
It was just a little old gym, soft floor. They brought the floor in every year.
Would y'all sell that gym out? Would they,
Oh,
would it
God,
be
yes.
packed?
For the freshman games when he was here, the freshman, I unfortunately was not one of those. So
Yeah.
we come out and nobody's there, or very few people are left. But yeah, playing with him was fantastic. I mean, learn more basketball, and just you had to be on your toes because he'd do anything he could with the basketball.
Behind the back, through the legs,
Oh,
around
yeah.
the
It's amazing what he could do.
My favorite play of his is a full court pass. He catches the ball on the sideline, and as he catches the ball, he throws it behind his head to someone under the go. It could have been you. I don't know. It was just the most incredible play I've ever seen in basketball.
I don't know. I think he had eyes in the back of his head because he'd make passes and find people wide open that you never thought he could even
And
see.
let me ask you this. Did he make even more unbelievable plays in practice that the world never saw? Was he the same in practice as he was in games?
He probably wasn't as intense in practice,
Gotcha.
but he could make some shots that you wouldn't believe. And, like you don't want to play him in horse.
He tear you up in horse.
Oh, yeah, because he can come up with shots that you can't do.
Spinning in the finger, bouncing off the top of his head.
Oh, yeah, he could do that. That was a piece of cake for him. he was just a fun guy to play with. I mean,
And was he a cool guy? Off
Yeah.
the court, was he?
yeah, Pete was a regular guy. He had a lot of pressure on him, so we're college kids, so we kind of did what college kids do. But he was great to play with. I mean, I'd like to, like everybody else, we all like to score more, but
Yeah.
I end up being defense and rebounding, and
So you learned quickly, for you to score, you need to get that rebound off the shot.
definitely.
Also, it seems like you guys knew to run the court, that you might get a layup if you run.
Oh yeah. When you get the ball out, you go. Now I was one of the big guys getting rebounds, so the guards were flying
Yeah.
because the ball was coming.
Yes, sir.
I mean, if you get down court and you're open, you're going to probably get the ball.
That's awesome, man.
Just get the rebound, put it back in, or get the rebound, throw it back out to him, and let him score. So.
Well, you're a guy that I've always heard your name. I've seen you on the documentaries back on CBS, and I was like, man, I would love to meet you. Now, my dreams come true. I've been able to meet you tonight.
Oh, well,
and
thank you.
I appreciate you sharing me a little stories
Thank you.
of people.
Appreciate it.
All right.
I always appreciate talking about him.
He's the best, right?
Oh yeah, best guy you ever, best basketball player, ball handling, passing, and creating shots. He may not be the top shooter, but creating shots and getting them off, and no matter what, he's by far the best.
No one today, Steph Curry,
No.
all of them, they're playing the game because of Pete.
Oh,
Pete
yeah.
started all
Oh,
this, in my opinion.
Oh well, yeah, especially all the real good stuff he started. There's nobody's gonna beat that. They can try fancy passes, fancy dribbling, but nobody can do anything that he does.
Hey, I appreciate you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Tip-off club, when Pete was playing, I was the original member of the Baton Rouge Tip-off Club.
Wow.
Look at the backside. They made me an assistant coach.
Steve Ellis.
That's me.
That is cool, man. 1968-69 basketball staff.
Pete was just a good friend and
At least he'll dominate. I mean, like,
time at
he's
my
gonna be like one of
house.
the most athletic players in that
My
conference,
wife
I feel like.
cooked for him. He and the rest
no
of the
idea.
team.
Well, tell me, man.
Depends on who.
For ESPN,
What
it's
is
like top
the
10 or 5 top.
coolest thing that you saw Pete do on a basketball court?
The center spread of my magazine, when he was playing Pittsburgh, our center spread
Is that in the NBA? Or is
is
that
a photograph taken by Sam King, who was with the Morning Advocate. And he has the ball behind his back, and he's 5 feet off the ground on his way to the basket.
I believe it.
And unless you had film, you wouldn't know what he did with that ball.
But you know what he did with it.
John
saw
Mishmack,
this,
who was my co-editor,
footage of
and I disagree about that. He says that Pete
his wingspan,
passed
how
that ball
fluid he moved.
behind his back
It's scary.
to Jeff Tribbett,
It's scary.
but he didn't. He went all the way around his body and shot a layup.
Yeah,
He took it all the way around his back and hit a layup.
and long jumper.
Awesome.
And it not only amazed everybody, but it surprised everybody. Because normally he would give it to one of the point guards.
But you saw this with your 2 eyes.
Oh, yes. Every minute of every game. I also went to the NIT tournament.
New York City, Madison Square Garden.
Yes, I was at Joe Namath's bar at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I believe that record.
And
That's why he's
Pete
the
was
rookie.
there. And Joe came in with 2 girls, one on each arm. I said, Pete Maravich, aren't you? Everybody's looking forward to you playing the game tomorrow. You shouldn't be out at 11 o'clock at night. And Pete said, you want to talk.
There's a famous Georgia story.
It's not on record anywhere. Okay, the first part of the game is Georgia came out. It's last game of the year. If we win, we go to the NIT. Last game of the year, Georgia comes out in the stall. Sold out crowd. Crowd starts booing. Okay, because they're stalling. They came to see Pistol. They didn't come to see a stall. Next thing we know, they're throwing crap on the floor. I mean, coins, paper. They call timeout. Coach gets on there, going to call a technical if they don't quit throwing the stuff on the court. We finally get a lead, so we start playing our brand of ball. Pete makes a shot at the buzzer to force overtime. Okay? They make a shot, the buzzer first overtime to force the second overtime.
Okay, so Georgia makes the shot to go to second.
Right.
Okay.
So now we're in the second overtime.
All right.
We get a lead. It's like 10, 11-point lead. So we spread out the offense. 2 big guys, or 3 guys along the baseline. Pete and I out front. Pete's on this corner. He starts dribbling between the legs.
I remember that.
Okay.
There.
Two of the guards start chasing him. He's doing this. Well, finally he throws the ball over to me. They come over to my side. I dribble around. I go to the key, throw the ball back to Pete. Pete dribbles around, comes back to that corner. I'm over here. He looks up at the clock. He looks over at me. Like, by this time we're seniors. Eye contact, you know what the hell to do. He looks at me like, get out of the way, I'm coming. He's at the end line. He's at the sideline and mid-court line with the ball. He dribbles along the mid-court line, comes over to that corner.
Throws a hook shot.
Throws up a hook shot. Okay? There's like 4 seconds left. He throws up the hook shot. He looks up at the ball, looks at the net, turns around, goes like this. Ball goes through the net, buzzer goes off. He keeps running through the tunnel to the dressing room. Place went absolutely nuts. I mean, it was crazy. The hometown, their hometown is going crazy. They're cheering like crazy for us. Pete's already through the tunnel. The game, so we get dressed, going out to the bus. They open the doors to the dressing room to go to the bus because the back of the stadium, sidewalk between the stadium and the bus, lined up with people. High-fiving, way to go. We're giving the wristbands that we had. They were all cheering Pete. It was like we were playing at home. It was crazy. Absolutely. And that's not on film anywhere. Because back then, we had the reel-to-reel. Everybody ran out of film. TV stations had to go back because of TV. They wanted to show what they had for TV.
Yeah.
Game went double overtime. Nobody had any film. There's not a picture of that anywhere. The biggest thing I remember of all the years we played is that hook shot from midcourt, and it's not anywhere.
I'd heard.
And it's a true story. I mean, it's in the books.
You're telling me Pete didn't even see it go in the
No, he knew it was
turned
in. He turned around, back to the basket, fists in the air, like, I know it's in. He's already headed to the dressing room. Through the basket, buzzer goes off, game over. Unbelievable. It was crazy.
Yes.
It's crazy.
That's
Somebody
on
recreated
film
it.
somewhere.
I've never seen it. People have written books and want to know if it's true because they haven't seen it. There are 4 or 5 books on pistol. They all talk about that shot, and not one author, not one TV station, nowhere has a picture of that.
YouTube or anything.
Nowhere has it. If you find it, you let me know because I guarantee 50 years later, none of us have seen it.
Truth, it may be that I've heard the story so
I think
many
you've heard
times.
it so many times.
It's embedded in my
Well, it's
brain.
embedded in my mind too, but it's not anywhere. But anyway, I was asking about the Alabama game, the big fight.
Yeah, going in that hallway. I know what the hallway was.
It's all started by Alabama cheerleader. What they called their A club, which was the freshman football players, were sitting in the first couple rows right behind our bench, and they were on our case the whole game. Well, under the goal that male and female cheerleaders. Well, one of the male cheerleaders, game was over, jumped on Pete. So Apple Sanders jumps on Pete to protect Pete because this guy, one of the guys from the A club, is out there. No, the guy from the A club comes and jumps on Pete. I thought he was beating up Pete. Okay, I come in there and I just decked the guy. I hit him. He looks up at me like it's a gnat. Big old football player, little skinny me. Huh? Alabama.
Played Alabama.
Alabama game. He jumped on Pete to protect Pete. I didn't know that. I'm over there wanting to beat the hell out of the guy. I'm throwing a fist at him, and he's going, hey, Bubba, you better stop it. You're going to get hurt.
The Alabama guy was really helping you.
Yes. Yeah, but we didn't know at the time because they jumped on Pete.
There is a video of Pete flicking the bird going under the tunnel that night.
Yeah.
But he fouls out with 5 minutes. Is that right? Is that a true story? Did he foul out of that game?
It was in overtime.
69.
Yeah, it may have been that over, yeah.
I don't know if
I'm not sure. That I don't remember. I don't know.
The story that
Again,
I
you're
heard,
talking to guys
it was
74 years
overtime.
old. My memory bank a little bit.
Incredible, though.
Yeah, he was. It was crazy. It's amazing you were there at that game.
Yeah,
My dad was.
yeah, my dad was too. But basically, he fouled out about their whole team though, because he shot 20-some free throws also.
Oh yeah.
And they would dribble, and he'd go to that corner and kick that leg out, and shoot that ball away, and they couldn't see.
This guy, guys, is the guy that created the statue of Pistol Pete. I'm gonna ask you this: how long did it take you to do that?
It's about a year process. So first you have to come up with the pose, and I thought he was going to be a shooting pose because Pete's the greatest scorer ever. And both Josh and Jason said, no, he's the show, and you need to be having him throw the ball behind his back.
Well, like I just told you, I said it had to be a behind the back pass.
It's
the whole
so
time
great.
I was hoping, I was praying, please, because I want everybody to know, like you just said, Pistol Pete was the show.
Well, this is personal to me too because I'm 61. As a kid, Pete was the go-to guy to watch. So I'm so grateful this is up here. And I also had the fortunate experience of sculpting Shaquille O'Neal here, and Bob Pettit, and Billy Cannon, and the great Skip Bertman.
That's incredible.
And I'm about to start Simone Augustus.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I appreciate your work. I
Thank
really
you.
do,
Thank
and
you.
I appreciate all the time you spend on it, man.
Well, these are historical markers that are important stories for us to tell. And that's why it's important what you do.
We're here forever.
Yeah, yeah.
And video will last forever, man.
I agree.
All right, Brian. Hey, nice meeting you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. You saw a lot of people.
All the home games. I didn't miss a home game he played.
What, man, tell me, your favorite memory of Pistol Pete?
All of them.
I know it's all of them. You got to have one, something that stands out.
Favorite thing was prior to the ball game one night, he's out there at half court shooting hook shots. Choo, choo. Just nothing but net.
At half court before
Half
the game.
court for the ball game. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard he used to put on shows and warm-ups.
He could. Yeah, he did.
Behind his back, through his legs, over his shoulder. Everywhere.
Yeah, he sure did. He did that in the ball game too.
What was the Cow Palace like back then?
It was fun. It was wild.
It was fun.
It was fun.
Has anything ever come close to that with Pete Maravich playing basketball at LSU? I mean, you know, like the atmosphere.
Yeah. I saw him play for the Jazz. I was disappointed down there, you know, and everything. Of course, it's so big, and it was just totally different. See, I remember Jackie when before they were married, and his mother was with them, and sit up in the stands, and you know, it was fun back then.
All right, so I want you to introduce yourself to the audience because you have a popular Pistol Pete Facebook page that fans need to know about.
Right. The page is Pistol Pete Maravich, the GOAT. I'm Coach Jim with Next Level Basketball. I've been a trainer for 35 years. Most people know of Next Level, but what they don't know is that Pistol Pete and his brother Ronnie Maravich was the ones that trained me when I was a child right here, teenager growing up in Baton Rouge. At Foxy's Health Club, that's where it all happened. That's where history was made there, as well as right here on LSU's campus.
Well, tell me some stories. What is it like to be trained by Pistol Pete Maravich?
Just amazing. I mean, being a kid in the right place at the right time, I owe it to Ronnie and Pete as well, that the history that was made. At the time, it was just happening so fast, and I just took it in. Like I say, being the right kid in the right place at the right time. And when they told you or showed you how to do something, you did it, and you did it until you knew how to do it. You know, I mean, it was just, and it was tips and it was things. And you know, as I got older, my playing days, I ended up playing 5 years of semi-pro basketball, and I made a whopping $25 a game. But it was an awesome experience. But as I started training after that, I wanted to set myself apart from everybody else that was calling themselves trainers. So, you know, shooting was exactly what I focused on, and that's the hardest part of the game to adjust. It narrows the market, so to speak, you know, because the dribbling is amazing. I mean, to this day, I still do all the Maravich ball handling series. But to teach somebody how to shoot, how to bring the ball pushing the ball from below their chin or off their shoulder or two hands, to take a child 12 years old, which is what happened to me, and to be able to convert them into a little jump shot, and then as they grow and we grow their shot, and we make it happen for them, My goal is to help them play high school basketball. If they go beyond, which we've had a lot do that, but if they go beyond, great. I'm glad to have helped. But Pete Maravich is really the one and why I do it, you know. And I never wanted to use the Maravich name. Next Level Basketball was always it, you know. It wasn't even my own personal name, you know. That it wasn't about me. I had my day. I want these kids to have theirs, and I owe it to Pete and Ronnie for what they did for me as a young child. Several years ago, I had the honor of reuniting with Ronnie in New Orleans, and it was just awesome experience after over 40 years. He still remembered me. He still remembered me taking to games. He used to take me to the Superdome and all the games, into the locker rooms. I mean, basically had free access.
With the Jazz in the locker rooms.
Yeah, and all the opposing teams coming in and things. I mean, it was, like I say, being in the right place at the right time.
I am jealous. Okay, so tell us this: your favorite memory of Pistol Pete.
Favorite memory. You know, I was at the record-breaking game, but honestly, I was so young. I mean, I just remember the crowd and the noise and all that. My favorite times was just at the Superdome, you know, and just watching him play, watching him light it up down there, game after game, sitting courtside at that. We were able to sit, you know, right there on the bench, and to be able to go back into the locker room and things. I mean, it was more than just a game at that point, you know. At that time, I didn't know it, but I was just obsessed, and obsessed to play it, obsessed to learn it, and just worked on it. And providing an access like I do with my programs is something we didn't have back then either. So you had to work double, triple hard. You really did to have anybody, you know, going through these micro skills of how to do these things and how to make these conversions. And it got scary. You know, it's scary at first because there's a lot of large camps out there, and they all are similar, and everybody's got a good heart. I think they're trying to do the right thing. But you know, you can only dribble so much. I mean, gravity helps you a lot.
Exactly.
You know,
yeah.
when you go to shooting jump shots, you're defying gravity.
You get that right.
And so it's a specialized thing. And I wanted to take it as far as I could. So I got my personal certifications, got NCAA certified to help those kind of people. I'm able to work with professionals now and things. So it's just been a blessing. And after 35 years, it still keeps growing. And you know, God willing, it'll continue.
I think I need to come and do a video on this.
Let's
Put
do
this
it.
out for the world to see.
Let's do it. We can do it anytime.
And what you're teaching.
My gyms are open all the time.
All the time. But what you're teaching is what you learned from Pete Maravich and Ronnie Maravich.
Exactly. Exactly.
They learned that from press.
Exactly.
So it's just a continuation.
And hopefully doing my little part to keep the legacy going, you know, not just the Facebook page, but physically doing it. And as long as I'm physically able to, I will.
Well, you know, I appreciate you. I enjoy your Facebook page, man. And everyone, Pistol Pete fans, let's look him up. How do we find you again?
Coach Jim McCart. And the page is also Pistol Pete Maravich, the GOAT.
All right, let's follow him.
All
I
right.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
December the 1st, 1966, right inside this arena, Pistol Pete Maravich made his college basketball freshman debut. And guess how many points he scored? 50, and had 16 assists. And left this arena after the game to a standing ovation. So imagine all of these seats filled to see the Pistol. And that was one heck of a opening act for Pistol Pete. Now check this out. This is a photo capture of a cool video of Pete spinning the basketball. He bounces it off the top of his head and hits a shot. Look at the door behind Pete. Look at the windows and the two sections up there. That photo, in my opinion, by my investigation here, was captured right here. Focus for me. There's the door. There's those two sections. There's that. Pete was somewhere right here. That means the basketball goal was right here at this angle in front of us. It makes sense when you stand out here. They had a bleacher section that came out to the courts, so you can see how far away that really was. But yeah, check that out. Once again, there it is. Pistol Pete was right here. And then my favorite play of Pete's career is this play, a full court pass. Pete catches it and slings it over his shoulder to his teammate on the go. Incredible. Watch it again. That, my friends, that had to take place right here. Pete would have caught the ball in the air, and then slung it to his teammates. The goal was right in front of me somewhere in this area. So now, knowing all of that, I'll take you to the record-breaking show. January 30th, 1970. You see this section right here? Here is Pete Maravich breaking the all-time leading scorers record that Oscar Robertson held. There's that door. So you know that the goal was at a caddy corner here, I believe, about right in this area. Pete catches a ball about right past, in my opinion, this section. So I believe this is really close to the area just by looking at the stands in a photo that I have. He hits a 21-foot jump shot. 21-footer. So let me, 1, 2, 3, I'm gonna walk it. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 17, 18, 20, 21. That puts the goal right around here, which looks about right with that angle with Pete spinning the basketball. So Pete hits a 21-footer right in this area somewhere. January 31st, 1970. And with that, he put his name in the record books that is still there all these years later. Now, let's go check this out. So check out this picture of Pete after his last LSU basketball game in the Johnny M. Parker Coliseum. They lose, unfortunately, to Kentucky. Pete scored 64 points this night. So he's devastated at the end of this game. It's all that he'll ever play inside this building, the last time he'll ever play in this building. This picture, guys, was captured in the LSU locker room. Once upon a time, Pistol Pete is sitting right here at his locker that is still here all these years later. He's leaning up against this. Let's see. 1, 2. He's leaning against this locker. And it looks like a jacket was in this locker. I'll show you the photo again. Pistol Pete was right here. 1971, I believe. No, 1970. Here in his locker room. February of 1970. So I assume either he's sitting right here up against this. Looked like a jacket was right here. So this could have been his locker, or that could have been his locker. And that door is open, just like it's open in this photo with Pete. And look, you can see that handle. See the handle right there? There it is. Pistol Pete was sitting right there once upon a time in his life. So check this out. Matthew McConaughey, Dallas Buyers Club, was filmed inside Pistol Pete's locker room, if you didn't know. He was sitting right here in that scene. The sink and the mirror is gone now. You can see a guy in the background behind McConaughey in the mirror, but look above McConaughey's cowboy hat. You can kind of see like a piece of the wall there. Let's see if I can get it to focus. There it is. So McConaughey was somewhere right here in that scene, the opening scene of the Dallas Buyers Club. And it was right here, guys, you'll always know, right beside where the photo of Pete was captured back in 1970. So guys, this probably was Pete's locker. Or it was this one. Are you a fan of the pistol?
Yes.
Tell me why you like Pistol Pete.
I like Pistol Pete because I respect him and I look up to him. You know, he's an amazing basketball player. He's what started all the behind the back, and if it wasn't for him, I don't think things would be a lot different if it wasn't for him.
Can you do any of the drills? Can you do any of the homework basketball? Well, I can see you can do it. All right. Now you have.
I don't have a ball.
I heard you have a YouTube show.
I do have a YouTube channel.
What is it?
Can I promote it?
Yeah.
Look, it's not that big, but it's called Magic Land. But in order to find it, my newest video, you can just search Magic Land, all one word, Gloria. I know it's kind of weird, but it'll be the first video, and then you can check out my channel through the other stuff.
All right, you heard it from him. He's a Pistol Pete fan. And now, go subscribe to him on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
You're taking the cutouts.
Oh, yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah, those are neat.
So guys, I hope you've enjoyed tonight's episode of Globetrotting with Trey. Pistol Pete, finally, after all these years, gets a statue here at Louisiana State University. The university that this guy right here, he brought the game of basketball to this state. And now they honored him today, July 2022. I made sure to jump in my car, me and my dad, who my dad saw him score 69 against Alabama. My dad was there. We drove all the way from Alabama to be here, couldn't miss it. And I hope you have learned a little bit more about Pistol Pete Maravich, the real guy, Pistol Pete. I'm Trey Miller, this is Globetrotting with Trey. Don't double dribble, subscribe. The reason I call it Globetrotting with Trey has a lot to do with this guy right here. I do a lot of Elvis Presley videos, but I do other special videos here and there on people that I really admire, like Pistol Pete Maravich. And stay tuned, I've got a lot more cool stuff with this guy. So thank you for watching. Don't double dribble, subscribe. Until next time, I'll see you down the road. Pistol Pete throwing one behind his back. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Pete. Thank you for all your hard work and what you left for us to enjoy. All those highlights, the story, the legend. You were awesome.